Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I want to welcome everyone on behalf of the Orange County Chamber, East Coast Industrial Services, and those of us up here. If I could just start by welcoming those of us and introducing the panel here, if you will. If I could start to my far left, New York State Assemblyman from District 101, Brian Miller. And a New York State Assemblyman from District 99, Colin Schmidt. To my right is the Executive Director of the Orange County Chamber, Heather Bell-Meyer. And the Vice President of East Coast Industrial Services, Jay Pursuti. We do have some distinguished guests in the crowd today. Our legislators are Robert Sassy, Joe Menuda, John Vero, and Steve Bruscia. And joining us from the County Clerk's Office, Deputy County Clerk Kelly Eskew. I know there are others, and I thank you so much, whether it be on the small business, on the elected official side, that are joining us today. We certainly appreciate it. As we welcome everyone and we get together, I certainly wanted to give Heather an opportunity. I know the Orange County Chamber's job is to fight for businesses large and small, and Heather does that each and every day from that office. Heather?
Thank you, Tony. I just wanted to say that we are so delighted to be able to provide this platform for our businesses to have a voice and to express to our elected officials that were kind enough to come today what their challenges are. So as the president and CEO of the chamber, hearing members' concerns is something that I do every day, and now being the voice of advocacy is something that we look forward to continuing to do. So thank you so much.
And I wanted to mention that the Orange County Executive, Steve Newhouse, will join us momentarily. He's actually been pulled up to a Zoom press. That's the new way to go, a Zoom press interview. So he'll be joining us as well. So if we could dive into just the agenda for today for this town hall forum and kind of how we'll structure it. Why we're here. We'll talk about small business in a moment. We have a case study for you where some of the challenges that Jay Pursuti is going to run through that he's facing at East Coast Industrial Services, recruiting, retaining employees, unemployment fraud, false claims, how that affects his business. And then, of course, the Department of Labor and just what he's dealing with monthly unemployment statements and uninsurance ratings, and just what a lot of small businesses are facing right now. And then we'll have a discussion period as well. So why are we here today? We're here to talk about small business, so let's define that and how it affects everyone. Small business, deemed to be one of which is a resident in the state, so this is a definition, independently owned and operated, not dominant in its field, and employs 100 or less persons. So that is a small business as defined. Some stats for you. 99.8% of all New York businesses are defined as small businesses in 2018. Goes far back as 2015 for a stat. New York small businesses employed 4 million people, more than half, 50.2% of the workforce. Small business is what we're talking about today, but we're also aware that all businesses, small and large, are dealing with the same issues that small businesses are dealing with today. And for that, I'm going to turn the mic over and we'll present Jay with the mic. Jay Pursuti, again, is the Vice President of East Coast Industrial Services, and really, he'll tell you the story and the background of why we're here today.
Thank you. So basically, I had this vision a while back that I wanted to put together a video, because it's going to be very hard to get in front of the decision makers and so on and so forth when it comes to the challenges that we're up against as a small business. So I figured if I paid to have a very nice video professionally done that could go viral, I have a better chance of getting it in front of the people that we need to get it in front of. So I kept getting emails from the Chamber of Commerce. Join the chamber, join the chamber, join the chamber. So one day I picked up the phone and I called Heather and I said, sell me on the chamber. Tell me what you're doing to advocate for small businesses that are experiencing the Department of Labor challenges that we're experiencing. And she said she's made a few calls, she's done a few things. I told her what my vision was and what I wanted to do. And she said, let's put something together. So that's what brought us here today. So we kind of got the best of both worlds. We got some of our elected officials in person as well as a video in all corners of the room. So that's what we put the forum together for, is I just felt that a politician or an elected official hears it every day. Hey, I can't hire people. Hey, we can't get help. Hey, we have this challenge. So rather than them just hearing it, I wanted to put some slides together and show exactly some of the issues that we have and that we are faced with on a daily basis when it comes to recruiting or just operating a small business and dealing with the Department of Labor in many areas. So, go ahead. So we are, like I said, I'm East Coast Industrial Services. My wife's Lori Pursuti. Our two sons, Brian and Neil, are both full-time in the business. We're a New York State certified WBE company. We're located in Pine Bush, New York. We have 40 full-time employees. I could use 5 more yesterday. We specialize in heavy highway sweeping, parking lot sweeping, power washing, anything that goes on at a commercial plaza, shopping center, retail store, BJ's, Costco's, Sam's Clubs, Walmart's, Woodbury Commons, Palisades Center, just to name a few. We cover from Albany to New York City. We go into as far as Linden, New Jersey, Fairfield, Connecticut, and into Matamoros, Milford, Pennsylvania is our coverage area, 7 days a week, all year round. Tony Marino from 23 Marketing took over all our marketing. And I said to Tony, what can we do on the recruiting side? We're spending so much time trying to recruit, and I literally, Julie in our office and my wife spent so much time renewing our ads on Indeed and on Applicant Pro and all the other things that we have out there, and answering the emails and setting up the interviews and get no-shows. I said, how can we make an outline of what we're looking for and let Tony do the advertising, Tony do the pre-screening, and then set up the interviews and call us, and we'll schedule the interviews to come to the office. So Tony and I worked it out that how we were going to make this happen. So Tony's been with us since the beginning of the year. He took over April 1st. From April 1st of this year till June 21st, we've had 67 applicants apply for jobs. 61 of them were contacted. 40 of them were scheduled for interviews. When I say scheduled, confirmed hours prior to the interview. Yes, we're coming, we will be there. 9 showed up, 3 were hired, 2 still employed with us. We've spent, as a company, within past 12 months, $20,586.77 on recruiting. That's ads, whether it be radio, whether it be Indeed, whether it be Applicant Pro, whether it be digital advertising, social media. That's what we have spent for that period. So I'm going to just touch on some unemployment fraud. I could have posted my son Brian's on here. So my wife, president, owner of the company, we get an email that we have a new claim in our portal for the Department of Labor. So I pull up the claim. Lo and behold, my wife, the president of the company, is trying to collect unemployment. So over here, we download the claim. Part of it's cut off, but at the bottom it says, reason for claim, lack of work. Well, I reach out to the Department of Labor and I said, this is what we're up against, this is what came in. They said, okay, you got to send us a letter saying that it's a fraudulent claim, and I recommend you go to your police department and file a claim with them. We did so. We found out that supposedly the state police have an investigative division set up for this very problem because it's become so widespread. So we sent the letter up. We never heard another word. This was April 27th. Last Saturday, she received a text message on her phone. And there's the text message. Someone acting as a New York State Department of Labor noticed that you had an error on your application. Please click on the following link. Obviously, we didn't click on that link. 2 hours after that text, my son Brian got the same text. I didn't put all of his up here, but we have 2 corporations. So we have East Coast Industrial Services, which is our main corporation. Then we have a second corporation called East Coast Services 2. That corporation is strictly for snow removal. I got unemployment claims for Brian with his social security number, his name, and a Brooklyn, New York address for both of those corporations. And he also got the same text message on his cell phone from a different number 2 hours after that claim. So this is an employee that was terminated on November 24th, 2019. Fortunately, he let his license lapse, lost his license, even though we did all the work for him, went and found out all his tickets and all the courts, said, here they are, you just got to go pay them. You have until this day. If you don't show us proof they're paid, I can't put you to work. Needless to say, he didn't pay him. So there's his first unemployment claim. He filed the claim. We protested the claim. You were terminated. Department of Labor sent us back a determination up in the top right corner and said, no unemployment benefits are going to be given because you were terminated because you knew losing your license would justify your job. They denied him. He filed again. We sent in paperwork. See attached, claimant already filed, was denied. They sent out another letter saying that he's not eligible. Claimant then files a protest. He wants a hearing. So we have a hearing on the phone, of which he never showed up to the hearing on the phone. So the original determination from the department stands. He filed again 2 weeks ago. Again, that's 4 claims. We sent all the paperwork in that he was denied. Go ahead. He's making $428 a week on my account on unemployment. Just to touch on that, that's a statement that you receive as an employer every month by the Department of Labor. And what that statement is, it tells you who's collecting unemployment on your account, who you got credits for, who you didn't get credits for, and it gives you the opportunity to review it so that you can dispute or validate whether it's true and accurate. That date is 12/4/20. They have not gone out since that last statement that I know of. I have not received any, and from what I'm told, many other employers have not received that same unemployment statement. So I don't know who's collecting, who's not, who we received benefits from. Now, backing up a little bit, when it comes to unemployment, a lot of people may not know and understand that as an employer, you have a rate that you pay for unemployment. That rate is based on how many people you have collecting on unemployment. Well, the more people you have collecting, the higher your rate goes. You have a cap of what you have to pay into the fund, and you also have a minimum. So if you're a new startup, you're going to pay a minimum. If you have a lot of people collecting, you have a cap. So now the threshold is right now is currently $11,800. So when people talk about it's so expensive to hire, it's because when you have constant turnover, you never have an employee meet the threshold of $11,800 to stop paying unemployment on that person. So usually if it's a stable workforce, stable market, stable employees, usually by halfway through the second quarter or maybe the end of the second quarter, you're done paying astronomical unemployment bills. You're going to get front-loaded because it starts every new calendar year. So that's just the gist of it. And every year that threshold goes up, 11.8. I think next year it goes to 12.8, and it goes on up. Go ahead. So this is the unemployment rating system. So back in 2020, pandemic hit, we were told by Albany, it's not going to affect your rates as an employer for 2021. We're going to keep them flat because we know everything is a mess right now. There's a lot of people collecting. And I mean, unfortunately, you have a heartbeat and a pulse, you were getting unemployment. And they figured they'll sort it out later. Well, later's here. It didn't happen. 2020, my rate was 4.52%. 2021, it's now 4.725%. It went up. And so did everybody else's. That's not what we were told. So what I'm trying to do through this meeting is show these facts to our elected officials and say, what can we do? I mean, we're fighting the the employment issue, the moral of the story is, as long as we give free money for people to stay home, they have no reason to come out and work. We literally get phone calls and interviews set up, and they'll come in or they'll call and say, I'm just here to write down that I called you and made an attempt. And we can't get help. I'm turning jobs down every day of the week. I don't have enough drivers. We've upped our pay. I'm sorry, money don't motivate people. If you don't have the work ethic, it's just not going to matter whether you give somebody $20 an hour or $15 an hour, because what you hear is, well, between the pandemic pay I'm getting from the government and my unemployment pay, I'm making good money to sit home. Why do I want to work? Well, we're faced with this huge crisis now. I'm told in September it ends. The pandemic money goes away, but that's if they don't renew it. If they renew it, we're screwed. And you need to think about the fact that you have this major issue we're faced with. You got Medline hiring. You're going to have Amazon hiring. You got Legoland next door hiring. Nobody can find the labor. Nobody wants to work. And I don't know, I was talking to Assemblyman Miller, I don't know if it's a possibility. I was just trying to think out loud of some ways that we can combat this. And if there was a portal set up with the Department of Labor, for example, they have to show their unemployment paperwork to the Department of Labor and say, hey, I visited 5 of these locations, or I applied at these locations, and the Department of Labor goes, okay, you're making an effort, we'll keep your benefits going. Where's the employer verification side of that? Why can't we as employers say, okay, John Doe did come in for an interview, he was offered a job and never showed up. Well, at that point in time, his benefits should be cut off, or an investigation into why didn't he show up? What was the issue? And Tony can tell you the horror stories. I mean, that's for a reality show at another day that we hear. Honestly.
So that's a view from the small business side, and we're going to have this is the forum opportunity here. Thank you, Jay. I'm going to turn the mic over here to Assemblyman Schmidt and also to Assemblyman Miller here in a moment, and let them speak and just talk a little bit about what Jay had to say. But then we'll really turn this into a forum and an opportunity for you in the crowd to interact here. Come.
Good afternoon, Assemblyman Colin Schmidt. Happy to be here. Jay and Heather, thank you for being in constant contact with myself and my office to put this together. Glad to be with my colleague, Assemblyman Miller, from the northern part of Orange County. And listen, this is something that both of us have been hearing, both through direct outreach from the chamber and from Jay and from other businesses that are here. But literally every business I interact with personally on a daily basis, I am hearing the same story. The deli for breakfast, where we're having events for dinner, when we're going in to buy supplies, hardware store, doesn't matter. We are hearing this over and over and over again. And we can't sustain our economy the way that we're functioning right now. Let's first talk about the unemployment fraud issue, major issue. Most states have released the number of unemployment fraud that has occurred in their state, the raw number. We're talking tens of billions of dollars. The governor and the Commissioner of Labor are refusing to release the basic facts about unemployment fraud that has happened and has continued to happen here in the state of New York. I have filed a FOIL to the Department of Labor after they refused under the Labor Committee. I serve on the Labor Committee. We questioned the Commissioner of Labor. I personally questioned her, and she refused to state how much unemployment fraud is going on and some of the efforts they're doing to try to combat it. So I've personally FOILed through the Assembly office all information pertaining to the unemployment fraud issue that's going on in the state. The Department of Labor has denied the necessity for them to respond to that and has now delayed it for another couple of months. So we continue to put pressure on them through every legal means that I have in the Assembly to say business owners and taxpayers deserve to know how much fraud is going on with our unemployment system. And it is in the billions of dollars. We just need to know how many billions of dollars, how many people are impacted. Many people don't know it until Some of them are getting a tax liability in the mail saying, wait, what happened here? And the Department of Labor does not have something really set up. So through the Labor Committee, I can tell you it's a disgrace. The Commissioner of Labor and the Governor's Office is stonewalling some basic information and some basic avenues we can take to resolve some of these problems. Then you obviously get to there's nobody to employ. Listen, I know some of my colleagues have even had issues on the government side hiring employees. And usually say, oh, it's easy to, everyone wants a government job, right? No, that's, I know that's out there. That's not the case. So I know private sector, public sector, doesn't matter. There, it's difficult to find people to work. 25 states as of today have ended or are ending the extra accelerated benefit, either now or by the beginning of July. That is certainly something, and we see those states that have already enacted it are seeing a significant improvement in their unemployment numbers because people are going back to work. When that benefit ends, people are going back to work. I think that's something that we need to continue to advocate for, and that's something that I'm willing to work with my colleague Assemblyman Miller and the Chamber, local businesses, to advocate directly to the Department of Labor, to the Governor on that. Also, another thing that we're seeing that's working successfully in other states that we've now proposed in the state legislature, and I think we should look at as well. Arizona, I think New Hampshire, Montana, I might have a few of the states wrong there, but they have actually provided an incentive, a tax incentive or an actual monetary incentive to get off of the unemployment system and go back to work. Now, usually that's not something that I generally would be interested in, but this is a discussion, some ideas that other states are trying, so I just also want to toss it out there. If that is a possibility, you think something that would work, it's something I'd be interested in also advocating for with my colleagues. Again, we need to be innovative, but I think some of this stuff is simple. We have these Cadillac benefits right now that we no longer need. We're back. We are back. We're strong. We have a lot of opportunities in New York. We have a lot of opportunities in the Hudson Valley, and we need to have qualified people to take advantage of that. So certainly, are we going to questions now, or are we going to go back to? Perfect. So we'll get the question and answers, but that's kind of a little overview from mine.
Yep. We'll get Brian.
Okay, good morning. Am I allowed to move this around? Am I going to screw up the cameraman? We're good? Okay. So first off, I'm on kind of like speed dating today. I was just doing interviews at News 12, and we have Moody's, the county bond rating coming. I caught a little bit of your presentation, but obviously I think it circles around unemployment and obviously trying to get people back to work, more importantly. I've traveled to Colorado, Hawaii over the last few months for the military, and everywhere I go out to restaurants, they have the same problem with hiring people. Let's get specific about New York. One of the benefits you have of having the relationship with me, Heather and I are very close with the Chamber. Take advantage of county government. I know a couple of my legislators, my partner in county government are here. Let me tell you why. Let's say, I'll use Franco as an example. We're here at his location. Let's say he has 100 employees, 75 won't come back right now, today. That technically is fraud. He's paying unemployment benefits still for them. And the state's policy, these guys are legislators. They're good guys, I know them both. They're fighting for some changes. This Department of Labor is an operational function of New York State government. They report to the governor, and they run the day-to-day operations of the Department of Labor. We in Orange County have a workforce development mechanism in our thing. It's headed by Steve Knob from Employment and Training. What I have offered up over the last few months, and I said this to the State Department of Labor, you're allowing people to continue to commit fraud on the backs of these businesses that we are going to start losing if we haven't lost many already. So what the state has said, like an example, we can use you as an example, your company. If you're paying for 20 people that are able to come back and they're not coming back, we can work with your company and any other company that's a chamber member or a member of Orange County, and we will start following up on people. And we will pressure the state to do that. It's not the county's job to do it, but I consider it fundamentally vital to save businesses. So I see Mr. Tetz here, He's got 100 people working for him. He's paying for 50 people on unemployment. That's not fair. It's hypothetical. I don't know what his specific situation is. But it is really crucifying the business owners. And I will tell you, the benefits that you paid for last year, including up until I think the first 2 months of this year, are supposedly reimbursable by the federal government. Now, we haven't gotten all our reimbursements that we were promised to, but I would encourage everybody that's in this room or listening or has this problem to take advantage of us, me, your legislators, your workforce development office, because guess what? You pay us. You guys are our bosses. So I know it looks futile, and I've crossed the state over the last few months, and everybody's in a similar boat because of the lucrative packages that have been put out there. I hope they're not renewed in September, in my opinion. Everybody had ample time to get the vaccine if they wanted to. We got to get back to work. And I'll shut up. I think I'm here for another, I got to leave, right, in 5 minutes? All right, I'll shut up unless you guys want me to take questions now, Tony?
Well, for where we sit, we're pretty simple. We come from a simple background, and if the politicians just eliminate the money, because it's follow the money, the people would get back to work. And to fix the unemployment, we've taken some to task and ask for a hearing. The hearing examiners are absolutely for the employee. When we fire somebody, I got 2 instances. One, a guy goes to the job, he goes home with a mixer, has lunch, comes back the wrong way, runs into the bridge in Otisville, and we contest his unemployment, and they tell us that we didn't give him directions back from the job to the plant. We gave him the directions to the job, but not back to the plant, and that's why they're giving him unemployment? That's crazy. We had another one, we fired him for sleeping on the job, and we took it to hearing again. They gave him unemployment, said it's not in our company policy that you're not supposed to sleep on the job. What job do you have that you sleep on and get paid for? It's crazy. Yeah. It's nuts. It's just, stop the money already. They're ruining my granddaughter. We've been taught to work. Steve Brescia, he knows. We were taught to work. She sits home because she's getting unemployment, works a little bit part-time, and I told her, I said, I'm not helping you until you get a job. She says, Grandpa, I'm making more doing this than I am to get the job. Politics is ruining the people and the money. Follow the money and the money. You don't need all those studies. I can tell you how to do it. It's simple. And the money. They have to work. It's frustrating. We're frustrated. We're over 14 drivers short. Ride by. You see the trucks sitting there. They're not sitting there because we don't want to run them. They're sitting there because we don't have drivers. We don't have managers. Our night shop, we've basically closed our night shop down. We've got them half on days because we don't have enough people to maintain the trucks. Stop already.
Yeah, we can advocate for you. And I think this is simple stuff, like Mr. Tet said. Literally, if you stop the paychecks coming automatically, they're going to be forced to go back to work. And then couple that with having to start paying rent again. We all know in this room that eventually we have to pay the piper. This money that's coming out of thin air is debt that we're all going to have to pay and the next generations. But in the meantime, you know me, and look, at the other end, I'll put this out there too. I'm running for re-election this November. I'm running unopposed. So as long as I'm still alive, I'm going to be your county executive. I'm not trying to, so push all that political crap away. I'm going to still be here, and I honestly feel fundamentally for the economic development of this community and this country, we got to get back to work. We've had ample time. We have one of the highest vaccination rates in the world. You see these other countries that are still trying to get caught up. It's time to get back to work, and the only way to stop that is with the paychecks, and also start going after people that you're paying unemployment for, that you're saying, look, I've been ready to hire you back for 6 months. I shouldn't be paying you. That, to me, is criminal.
But we're tired of fighting that fight. My sister does that every day. They rule against you so many times that you just say, you just,
But
the heck with it.
you got to make more noise, and that's what this is about. And you
Yes,
got to take advantage.
that's why I'm here.
And take advantage of people like you. I applaud these two gentlemen for having the courage to show up. We should have a full slate of guys here.
Absolutely.
To face the music. I know these guys are going to pull the hook on me because I got a meeting with Moody's, which is going to give us our bond rating. But take advantage of employment and training in the county. They will advocate for you. At least don't go there by yourself. It's worth a shot because you're going to have to go through this gauntlet whether you like it or not.
Yep.
All of you guys. Anybody in the same situation has to go through this. So don't go through it alone. If we help you, great. That's what we're here for. Thank you.
And I just want to, when Brian Miller introduced himself earlier, he said, I'm the engineer here, I want to listen. And he's certainly done a lot of listening, but Brian, certainly I want to give you your time, and you've heard a lot here today.
Thank you for having me here today. I traveled 3.5 hours to get here. And, I represent 7 different counties. And this conversation just isn't happening here in Orange County. We have Otsego County scheduled for a week and a half from now to have a virtual meeting. But virtual meetings don't work. We need to be here in person. That's right, I am an engineer. We do a root cause analysis and a corrective action plan. That's what we try to do. That's what I try to do in Albany. When I first went to Albany, I was asked, what have you done for a living? I told them I was an engineer, and they told me, you're not going to fit well here. Well, guess what? We fit well in Albany. We keep their feet keep them moving. But the county executive said it very well, and so did Colin. We have to take away the money. We've worked with Jay. There's really nothing more I can really say that hasn't been said. But there's jobs from here to the Canadian border that aren't being filled in every profession. I went to vote this morning at 6:45 before I left to come down here, and we had this conversation with the polling people. Okay, this one lady said to me, why should I go to work? I'm making $20 an hour. I can sit home. If there's a signing bonus or a jack in their pay scale, it doesn't matter. I can make $20 an hour and I can sit home. What we need to do is, like Colin said, and some of the other states are doing right now, is we need to take that incentive away, and we need to get people back to work. And we need to work with the county IDAs and the county leadership. I was a county legislator for 16 years. That's where my roots are. I know a lot of things can be done there. That's why we take our experience to Albany. And we talked with Jay on this. We're here to help. I brought it to our leadership a month and a half ago. There's been a lot of conversation, but I know talk's cheap. What are you doing for me now? And that's what we're trying to do. So I want to sit back. I want to take notes. I want to listen to ideas, what we can do. The idea is pretty elementary. Take the money away and get people back to work. So I'm here for questions. Thank you.
And with that, for anyone in the crowd, small business, anyone that has questions for the gentleman up here, just questions in general, we'll get a mic to you, introduce yourself. But here's our opportunity. We've got the ears that are here to listen. We're asking them what can they do for us today. They've outlined a few things that we can work on. There's simple things like working. The county has a task force there to help you. If you have a question, just raise your hand. We'll get a mic over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Joseph Menuda here as a legislator, but I also have my own business. I empathize with everybody in this room. This feels more like a support group than anything else today. I've had well over 45 employees during my tenure as an architect with my business. Each and every time someone had filed for unemployment unjustly, they won. The state beats you up. It is broken at the state level with that department because they really don't tell people they're not going to collect, okay? At the end of the day, they collect a paycheck. We as employers bear the cost of that, and life goes on. And as an employer, I got bigger and better things to think about then am I going to go to another hearing for the Department of Labor for the same issue where the other person's on the other side doesn't really have anything to lose, they just keep going. So I hear where you're coming from. The unemployment fraud, I'm a legislator. I got called from the secretary of the legislature to say, Joe, did you give up your position as a legislator? I was like, no, why? She goes, we just got an unemployment claim. So this is at the county level, all right? And what do we do with that? We go, you go through the process. So I spend a day and a half freezing my accounts and my credit. I now get Uber texts and emails from all three credit agencies. So, where did that get me other than being, swamped with more emails? I go to the state troopers. We make the report. The state trooper says, you're my third one today. He goes, in fact, this is rampant throughout the state. So the question is not what government is putting in place. The question is, where is the throughput and outcome to resolve these matters? There is none. They put something in place to placate everybody until it just goes away. It's time we see from Albany and from the state that we have throughput and outcomes, okay? We need to do it at the county level. We do our very best at the county level, but this unemployment and this, these frauds, that's all state level stuff. So I know you two were not there when all these things started, but I'm so glad that you're there because I know you're great representatives for our area. I've worked with Colin. I have not had an opportunity to work with you yet, sir. But at the end of the day, how does the state fix this broken system of having a department in place that is so used to doing the same thing over and over that the wheel just keeps spinning and all of us keep bearing the cost? So I don't know if that's a question or a comment or more of a support session, but thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
And I know we have a young lady right here has a few things. Brian's going to say a few words first.
I just want to comment on that. This whole COVID pandemic has been crazy on all of us. Okay, it's the unemployment issues now and the employment issues now, and it's gone as far as renting. People aren't even renting their buildings out anymore to help small businesses. It's like my DO right now. We have to leave where we are. I can't find an office space to go to because people are afraid that they're not going to get paid, even from the state. That's where it is. This is how crazy this has been. We need to take a step back, take a deep breath, and take a good look at what the heck's going on and not be afraid. The pandemic's coming hopefully to an end and we can get things moving again. And we'll be there to push this ball ahead.
Brian, let me just hit this. Just real quickly, going back to what Mr. Tet said and what Joe Menuda just asked. This is an operational problem. It comes directly from the governor. He appoints the staff, the department heads that hire these boards, that appoint these boards. These guys can fight it all they can. They need firepower behind them. They need other legislators, the ones that aren't here, to do the same thing they're doing because it's operational. Same thing with county government. If I put in half-assed people, you're going to get a half-assed result. So your 40-plus employees that you've had over the years as an architect, if they are, when you've had these problems with the same outcome, same as Mr. Tetz, you're going against the wall, no different outcome, the change comes from the executive. Right now we have like a semi-lame duck in Albany because of what's been going on over the last few months, but that doesn't mean that we have to surrender. It means that we have to advocate together. That means you have to engage the chamber. You have to engage the county office. I'm not saying you're going to win all the time, but it's a different approach until we change the leadership up in Albany.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Gay Mallard. I'm with Adams Fairacre Farms. We have a store in Newburgh, and we're building one right here in Middletown. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I have three things. One, if you would advertise that if you're getting full unemployment right now, plus the pandemic, that's $20.10 an hour. Come September, it's going to be $12.60. So if there's some way that you could advertise that for people who are reluctant to get to jobs, to get out there and get the job now while the good ones are available, we'd appreciate that. It's really hard to recruit people, especially anyone, as these people have said, with skills. Secondly, I don't know what you could do, but I'd appreciate, and I'm sure all these people would too, to advocate for businesses stronger. New York State passed their paid sick leave. I don't recall being consulted, but now even seasonal people, we have almost 250 seasonal people. If they work 30 hours, they accrue 1 hour of sick time. That's new, and it goes to part-time people who were ineligible before, and it's increased the cost of business on top of unemployment, which we're all suffering with. And in addition to what I've heard here, if you outsource, because we're a little bigger than 100 employees, if you outsource your unemployment, you've probably hit a cap, and now every time someone applies for it, you get hit with an extra fee. So it's another buried cost. So the third thing I like to ask, which is before the pandemic, is for an audit to be conducted on New York State unemployment. They are totally irresponsible and without common sense. So thank you.
I just had a quick question. I know I've been a thorn in Brian Miller's side numerous times, and I got to tell you, he has helped me and pointed me in the right direction with people. Unfortunately, after your initial conversation with them in Albany, you don't ever get a call back, and recently Colin Schmidt. And just for the record, the other elected officials were invited, but evidently weren't able to make it. But my question to you two is, in Albany, where's the roadblock? What is stopping from making any type of headway with cutting off the free money like other states did and people are going back to work? Where are you seeing the resistance? I think I know, but where are you seeing the resistance, and where's the roadblock, and what can we do to help?
The governor is where this is at right now. The governors of the 25 other states that have opted or are opting out have made those decisions. It's with the governor and the commissioner of labor. As I mentioned before, I am on the labor committee. We recently had a hearing, questioned her in surprisingly bipartisan fashion, and the answer was there was really no answers to any of the questions. It's stonewall after stonewall after stonewall. And at the end of the day, the buck really stops with the governor and his ability to make that executive decision as an executive agency. That's something that needs to be done. We're actually out of legislative session now until next January. So the action would have to be executive driven. I think has been made multiple times here. You know, unfortunately, sometimes we're swimming upstream with small businesses in New York. Not just this issue, but many issues. You know, it's unfortunate that we do not have more of the state officials here participating. And I certainly would encourage anybody who does feel strongly who is here to make sure you let other state officials know that you were disappointed that they didn't have the ability to send themselves or one of their many, many staff members to attend this event. I think that it shows where we are. Some elected officials do not prioritize the issues that we're talking about here. I think that's something that we keep in mind. And it makes it harder. Now, Brian and I, yes, we are going to work. We have worked. And we will continue to work to press the Department of Labor on the extra, that extra bonus money issue and the unemployment fraud issue. But again, we're swimming upstream to begin with the governor, and then you don't even have unanimous agreement with the legislators in the Hudson Valley. You can see where things start becoming quite difficult. So that's one area. If you want to know what your local action can be, press your other legislators, join on board. We're happy to have anyone sign on to our letters and to our effort to amplify our message. I don't want to speak for Brian, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it is. I'll let anybody sign on to my letter. I'm happy to sign on to anybody's letter or official action from our office. You also have to look at where did this get extended from the federal government, and this was something that I strongly opposed. When they were looking to extend it. The package that extended these benefits is unacceptable. We have to be vigilant going forward with the beginning of September. Is there going to be effort to extend it again at the federal government level? And we have to make sure that all of our officials at the federal level and also at the state level stand against any extension because we know our economy is back and could be doing even better if we had folks to go back to work. And Mr. Ted said, with 12, 14 trucks, I mean, that's unbelievable to think you could have 14 more people right now working and how much additional economic benefit that has, right? That's 14 more lunches at the deli. That's how much more gas is being purchased. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. So this is widespread. It's not even just that immediate employee. It's how much does that impact in the wider disbursement. So we're going to do our end. We're going to hold the governor. If you want to reach out to the other state officials, encourage them to join us. We're happy to do that. And we have to be cognizant on the federal end. We cannot allow an extension to occur again. And we have to make sure that there are no local or state officials who support the federal effort to extend if and when that discussion begins.
I'm just going to chime in really quickly again. Up in the Mohawk Valley, we set up the Mohawk Valley 9, okay? What that is it's a group of senators and assembly people from both parties who talk about and advocate local issues. We need to do that in the Hudson Valley here too. Okay, you got Colin and I here, but we need to get our state officials, other state officials here, our senators and other assembly people, and we need to work this as a unit with the Hudson Valley people. We can call it the Hudson Valley 7, whatever you want to call it, but that's something we need to do, and we got to do it today. You know, we can't wait. Colin's right. I don't like to get political at these things, but the governor's got a lot of issues on his plate, and I don't believe he's taking care of the issues here in New York State the best of his ability. So, you know, we need to move things along in a bunch of different spots. But
I have my own microphone here. My name is Jeff Siegel from SDA Events, and I've been in the event business for about 45 years in the Hudson Valley. Prior to COVID, I used to have 100 event staff that go out to do 700 events a year and 6 full-time staff in my office. Mr. Tetz, along with Ed and everybody else, is that they're correct if you cut the money off. But as both of you had mentioned earlier, you get stonewalled from the Department of Labor and you get stonewalled from the governor. And it is still pretty simple, I think, because in business, everything boils down to the money. So, and I'm a little out-of-the-box thinking kind of person. So if all the businesses in New York State hired the best law firm in New York State to attack the DOL and the governor and stop paying the unemployment, stop paying all of those bills, and when I say stop paying, they have to pay, they would write the check still, except it would sit in the escrow account with the lawyer. Now, when the state doesn't get all that money, and I'm sure it's millions, if not billions of dollars, you've got their attention, and they're going to have to pay attention. It's just a thought, because now you stop giving them the money. How are they going to pay their staff? And all the people that are not really doing the correct job at the Department of Labor, and all the other people that the governor and whoever else hires all these people to work in the state, now our senators and legislators and whatnot have a little more power to get those answers and to have them fix it more immediately rather than drag it on. Because if it was a mass shooting, it would happen immediately in the politics and the government. But because it's small business, they could, like, everybody, the businesses will just keep paying and everything will be fine at some point down the road.
well, that's okay.
Sorry, Brian, I'm giving Brian a hook because I got to leave, and Heather's like,
Okay, go ahead.
if our bond rating screwed up, legislators, you know why. But we should be okay. Here's the deal, Jay. You made up a good point, and I just want to leave you guys with these thoughts. We need to start holding people accountable. I will guarantee you that majority of this room has no idea how your legislators have voted on the stuff that you're complaining about. And as Brian and Colin has mentioned, every county in this state, I've told you every state in the country has got the same problem, some more than others, we having more than most states do. That is an opportunity for us. Every Chamber of Commerce like ours, headed by Heather and other Heathers around the state, are dealing with the same thing. You have a great point on there. We need to team together. And whether it's filing a lawsuit, whether it's paying in protest, which you alluded to, we need to start getting their attention. Right now, enough people are not getting the attention. It's not loud enough. We need to hold, when we have other legislators, by the way, we're not beating up the other people that weren't here today. I know one of them had a family conflict, but when they come to you and they give you a happy birthday certificate or other stuff, ask them where they were on voting. Are you voting for us? What is your record like? Find out what their record is. Who is voting to extend those benefits after September? I guarantee you half the delegation from Orange County is voting to do that. What is that doing for you? It's hurting Mr. Tetz, it's hurting her business, hurting your business. Hold people accountable. If they're not doing their job, don't write them a check. If they're not doing their job, don't write a letter to the editor that they're doing a good job. If they're not doing their job, don't appear in their mailers and blow sunshine. Hold them accountable. That's what we need to start doing if you want to see real change and not smoke and mirrors. And I will work as hard as I can for you. You could be one of our pilot projects to start advocating for some of your unemployment pet peeves. And with that, I apologize, I got to leave. Anybody have any last harpoons you want to throw at me? Kelly Eskew's always smiling at me. She's got it. We work very well together.
Before you leave, quick question while Heather's here, because I have to leave also. First, thank you to Jay and ECIS for hosting this. You all brought up great points. Now, Brian and Colin are a huge minority in Albany. We're a majority as Republicans in Orange County. But I'm going to direct this at Heather, because I don't know the answer. How many chambers are in Orange County? Yeah, towns all the way around. I mean, we've got, that's what I know. Jay knows on that.
We need
How many chambers are there?
There are about 15 town chambers.
15, okay. So dovetailing on what the county executive said, you can't do it alone, dovetailing on what Assemblyman Miller said with the Mohawk consortium that he has there, then, you know, as county officials, there's only a certain amount we can do, and as Steve pointed out, your state officials, 2 great state officials are here, others are not. But we've got to be smarter. And smarter, I think, is kind of corralling all of those chambers, because businesses are not Democrat or Republican, they're economic, and everybody is facing the same problem. So those chambers should be united and be putting pressure on those elected officials. You've got two supporters, huge supporters in the room, and a county executive and a county legislature, but on the state level, you don't. So who are those people? And I think the chamber that are owned by men and women, Democrat and Republican, need to be a little bit more coordinated with their efforts and put the pressure on those people and let them know that you're watching, as he just said. Thank you.
Thank you. Because we are shorter on time, I know that Assemblyman Schmidt has to leave. County Executive Newhouse is leaving now. Normally we would end one of these by saying, let's continue the conversation. I think I speak for all the small business owners in the room, and I think everybody in the room when I say, we don't want to have the conversation anymore. We continually have this. When my team leaves a meeting, they leave with action steps, and I think that you guys have action.
No, thank you again for organizing this, and I know many of you, and if you didn't know me, you know me now. You can reach out to me, reach out to Taylor Wave, back of the room, my Chief of Staff in the Assembly. So a few things. We're going to be working with Brian Miller after this to put out some additional legislative action. We're going to do an official letter, and we're hoping to get that out very, very quickly. So we'll certainly make sure, Heather, you get that and you can disseminate that out to all the members just to keep updated, so you know that's going to be one of our immediate action items following up from this on the unemployment, on the extra unemployment. Secondarily, if there's individualized issues, we have had some success depending. I never promise 100% success because you know what you're dealing with, but we have had individualized success working with employers on certain issues. So if that is your situation, you can reach out directly to me or my office, and we can work you through that process. We'll be blunt. We'll tell you, hey, listen, whether you're 100% right or wrong, this is not going anywhere. We don't like to waste 3-4 weeks of your time. We'll tell you, hey, we've been down this road 10 times before, and it's not going anywhere, and it's going to have to take a massive legislative change or an executive agency change. So we're happy to be honest with you or direct you if it's a county-wide issue or something like that. We're happy to direct you that way So please know you always have that day-to-day advocacy. You can go through Heather to get our information, or you can just come directly. It doesn't matter to me. But those are some of the immediate deliverables that we're putting out. And I'll stress, if those conversations start coming up again about extending at the state or federal level, we'll be on it. I'm happy to make sure we get that information to Heather so that everybody can be on it, but we have to be on it because that's where this really comes from at the end of the day. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me here today. If you call my office, chances are you're going to get me on the phone. Jay knows that. But please call, have anybody call. You know, our office was bombarded with unemployment issues to start with, okay? People were out of work, they didn't know what to do, so we helped process all those. Now, that end of the pandemic situation's come to an end. Now we're at step 2. We need to get people back to work, we need to get the small businesses, unemployment insurance issues cleared up, and we need to get moving. But please call the office. I'll give you a phone number, 315-736-3879. You know, we have an office in the town of Wallkill too, or I mean the village of Wallkill. But chances are you're going to get me on the phone. We like to get things done. We put due dates. You can ask Colin's chief of staff about a due date. Said get a press release out. He said by tonight. I said no, by 1 o'clock this afternoon. Okay, because this is extremely important. We need to get things going. We've been working with Jay and trying to help him along. We think we find a way for him to get through. All of a sudden there's a roadblock and then they send him off on a different avenue. But I wish there was more business people here. I wish there was more legislators. You can throw stones, rocks, whatever. We got good catcher's mitts and we know how to get things done. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you for everyone for coming today. Thank Jay for hosting us and working with the chamber, and Heather as well. Again, it's not about continuing the conversation, it's about action, and these gentlemen are going to lead that action, and we appreciate that. Thank you.